their classrooms, and the after-school programs. I don't want to see any of that go away. I cannot afford to pay higher taxes, but it is not my children's fault. And I will vote yes on the referendum, and I believe that our property value and our children and our community, it's up to us to enable us to be successful. And if we don't step up, and there's ways to be creative, and there's cuts that can still be made that will help every penny, but I don't believe it should be passed on to our children. And so as much as I don't want a referendum, I will vote for it. I can promise you that I review every single bill that is in our board packet every single month, and I call the school and I ask, why are we paying, for example, one summer we paid for a newspaper when school was out of service. Well, that's what? Somewhere between $20 and $50 maybe, and I got it reimbursed because it was unnecessary. I watch the bills. I don't claim to be a professional in that area, but I care. I do care. It's my money as much as it is yours, and we all care together. And we need to be successful for our children, and we need to make sure that we have a good system in place. And I don't want to pay more, but sometimes you gotta make hard decisions, and the board has had to make several, and it's been very taxing on us. I mean, it's hard. I mean, we're volunteers wanting to make the best decision for you, our teachers, for our community, for our district. We're not bad people, and we want what's best for our kids.
Thanks, Tim. As a district and as a board, we're charged with adopting and running with a balanced budget. And with the community's help, a number of years ago, we passed the referendum. And prior to the cut of hold harmless, we were well on track to having a balanced budget. If you remember back with the referendum talk, we were going to have 8 years to be out of deficit spending, and we were well ahead of that. But with the loss of hold harmless, that $880,000 that we've talked about since it was first talked about being cut in 2009, you know that we don't have enough money to have a balanced budget. There simply isn't enough funds to do that. So placing the referendum on the ballot and informing the public of that gives our community the opportunity to choose if they want not to lose any of our services. We certainly understand the economic times. We're all there. We've all had to tighten our budget. And we certainly understand that for some pocketbooks, it's just not an option to vote yes. And we understand that. But we do feel very adamant that we need to let you have the opportunity to have that voice. If we were to say you'd vote no, we're just going to make these cuts because we have to have a balanced budget, that's not fair to the community. We have to have you have the opportunity to search yourself and make that choice, and we understand that choice from there. So yes, I'm in favor of placing the referendum question on the ballot to give you the opportunity to choose. As far as it being a hidden ballot or a hidden referendum, I think we've been talking about it in the school newsletter, the Zion, the Waukegan paper, the public forum. I don't know how we could have publicized it anymore. It is on the ballot, and it will be there for your choice starting September 13th, yesterday, for early voting and then at the poll. The busing is not a scare tactic. We had the public forums to try to seek your information about what would be the least offensive. I think what we heard from the public and all of our talking was that letting school out earlier would have a higher tax on our community. People are working, trying to make their budgets, and they wouldn't be home, and they don't want to have small children home alone or unattended. And so we listened to the input and have made our decisions based on that. Thank you.
I think, like everybody else here, I think the referendum is an issue on many people's concerns and thoughts, not only on individual households, budgets, et cetera. Mine included. I don't think any of us have had increased taxes at the state level, gas prices going up, et cetera. I think it affects the bottom line in all our homes. I think, and I agree with what has happened with the board up till now. Unfortunately, the predicament we're in has put us in almost, I don't want to say rash decisions, but positions that we don't want to be in. And I don't think they had wanted to be in. I think it was the community as a whole an opportunity to select what they want. I think that's what our government is all about. You need to choose what's best for your household, and I think in the bottom, that'll shake out to what the community as a whole wants. Unfortunately, personally, I probably will vote for the referendum because I do have 3 children and I care about their education. And yes, there might be other options with the consolidation coming. It might be a moot point. But bottom line, I want the best for the children of this community and the teachers, et cetera. And it affects our property value. And I am truthfully concerned about consolidation, not only from a state level, but consolidating if we don't meet budgets in other avenues. Thank you.
First of all, I think that the referendum was put on the ballot because the school board was doing their due diligence. They were doing what they were supposed to do. It is their responsibility to do everything in their power to make sure that the school succeeds. They had to place the referendum on the ballot by a certain time. They had to do that. Whether or not it passes, that is going to be seen. That remains to be seen. What it comes down to, I think, is that I will not vote for the referendum. But the thing is that when I look at this from both sides of the coin, you know, I need busing. I absolutely need busing. I cannot afford to pay for someone to watch my children after school, or watch my daughter after school, pick her up, and these kinds of things. But on the flip side of that, what's going to be the lesser of the 2 evils? Is it going to be my taxes are going to go up? So, but then broader, you look at the people that don't have children in the school, and their taxes are going to go up. Yes, we all should support the school, but the lesser of the 2 evils is going to be for the people that need the busing to take the hit, rather than the bulk of the community. And so while personally I do not support the referendum, I think that it's going to be a hot topic and it's going to be a personal decision. I think that the referendum is going to support the education of the kids. I think that's the first thing that we should do, is always support the kids. But I think that maybe if we gave the new school board a chance to look at the budget, maybe we could make a change so that we don't have to have the referendum. But this is simply coming from someone that that wasn't privy to talks and information. But thank you.
Hi, thank you very much. Regarding the hidden wording of the referendum, I would say legally you have to place it on the ballot. It has to have certain wording and everything that way. So that would be my understanding of that. And I don't think it's a matter of hidden, it's just legal. However, it is on the ballot. Yes, I would support it, only because I'm very supportive of education, and I also know that money is needed everywhere, and and we live in the state of Illinois. And while the state funding is going down and the federal funding is going down, unfortunately it hits the community. And so I think that that's where I have to step up and say, all right, yeah, here we go again, but we'll get through it. It's hard to say, with the way the taxes are worded and the way taxes are funded on the tax bill, you have your EAV and you have all of that, and I think people really need to look at their tax bill and understand their tax bill to understand how it is going to affect them. Because I know you can throw a number out there, but once you understand, like, how maybe my EAV is going to be going down and a couple of times, and the tax cap, and there's a lot to learn. But I know the board is there, and I'm glad to see so many people running for the board, and hopefully they can get involved and come to the board meetings, and you can go look at the budget. It's on display that you can see it, and www.isb.net. You can go compare your school district with all the other school districts. All that information is out there for everybody. I know nobody has any time, and I don't either.
I'll keep it brief. The problem facing the school board is we get revenue from two sources. We get it from our taxpayers, and we get it from the governmental sources. Quite frankly, the state has obviously let us down. They've cut $830,000. They've taken it away from us. So you take that hole out of there, what are you going to do? So the budget, on the question of the referendum, it was placed on the budget, on the ballot by the school board to give people an option. Do we think it's the greatest thing to do? No, we've asked our taxpayers, and they've stepped to the plate more than once to support the schools. But we had to at least make that available as an option to people, and so we have. Personally, I'll vote for it because I want to support the schools, but philosophically, I hate to have to ask the people to pay any more. The state should be supporting our schools, and that's the bottom line there. As far as the transportation thing, that was one of the choices we had to make. We debated a lot of choices. We had the public forums, and so no, that wasn't a threat. We felt that was the best thing to do. Unfortunately, in the new budget, the state is throwing out there they're going to cut the reimbursement of transportation even more. So the state is going to support our transportation efforts less, all the school districts. So the state's, they're just hurting us at every level. So that's why the referendum's out there, and we'll just see what happens to it. But that's what we had to do as a school district. Thank you.
Okay, the next question is kind of it's a tri-parter also. How do you, I don't know whether it's addressed to all, but obviously those people who aren't on the board didn't actually do this, but what would you do? How do you justify giving raises to all administrators in June of 2009, knowing that the state was going to be cutting hold harmless? How do you defend the board's decision to do that? Maybe you, if you weren't on the board, you didn't know that, but because the hold harmless funding is going away, as I'm phrasing this, but the administrators all got pay raises.
Thank you. Well, the way I'm understanding the question is, why did I support it, or did I support it? And since I wasn't on the school board and didn't have any knowledge of what was going on at that point with the pay raises and